Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Infinite Podcast. What a week, man. What a crazy week. Super excited for this show. Hello, everyone in the chat. You guys are amazing. Thank you very much. Yes, Jesse, Boom is the only guy that starts on time. We never have and we never will. Cole, welcome to the show, man. How you doing? What have you been up to? How's things? Big week, man. Big week.
Yeah, big week. Just been talking about Xbox, being dead and then re-emerging from the grave. It's been good. It's been exciting. People are really, really curious to see what Xbox is up to this past 2 weeks, aren't they? Been nice.
And what they're gonna do. What they're gonna do in the future is it an exciting future? We'll see. Holly, how's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things?
Hello everyone. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Colt, for joining us. Yeah, it has been kind of crazy, right? It's funny because I feel like we go in these like lulls where everybody's like, oh, there's nothing going on. It's so boring, right? And then you're looking for things to talk about. And then all of a sudden, like one or two things comes and it always feels like the hugest thing that's happened in forever when it's really been like 3 weeks since the last hugest thing. But this one's actually actually for real huge. So that's cool.
Cool.
That's it.
Before we jump into it, because obviously big news, but I know that you were super excited for Resident Evil, and have you been playing that?
Yes. Yeah. I had a thing last week, and my mom was staying with me, and she couldn't. I just can't do anything when my mom's at the house because it's constantly like. You need to go rest. Oh, but can I do this? Or do you know where this is? Or do you know where that is? Or like, and then you feel guilt because it's your mother, right? Like walking around doing stuff in your house. And you're just like, can you just sit down? But then you like, when she sits down, you try to watch a TV show every 12 seconds. Well, I don't think they should have done that. Or what did they say? Or, just commentary during what's happening. And you're just like, duh! Like, but anyway, so the moral of the story is that Resident Evil came out, and so I had to wait like a day or two after it came out for me to actually start playing it because there's no way I could play that with her there. And I'd been kind of cooped up and had done the phone a friend, like, is anybody around? I want to play some Division. And because I had just been with my mother for like 6 days straight, nonstop, right? No friends. So nobody was around. So as I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll just keep playing Resident Evil. So I got like 14 hours in, 15 hours in at least last weekend. And it is so good. It is so good. It is like, it's kind of like a perfect marriage of 2 and 7. So if you like 2 and or 7, it kind of does both things, right? Like 2 has this like suspension, but it's also action, right? And it kind of keeps going. And 7 is just scary all the time, right? Like it's terrifying. It's a really, really good blend. And of course, having Leon back is wonderful. And I love Leon, especially like this version of Leon is just, it's nice. I haven't finished it yet though, because I like to play it in chunks, right? And like not just do like 30 minutes 40 minutes whatever. I want to like sit down and enjoy it and like not get like turn the phone on silent and all that stuff because it's really, really good. But I think I got pretty far. It's good. I'm gonna shut up, but it's really good.
I think it's really, really good. See, I wasn't going to play it while I was away, but it's one of my one of my franchises that I absolutely love. So I was like, oh look, I'll download it and I'll play a little bit on the Series S because you should play it on PC because that thing is gorgeous. It is so attractive. Like the Capcom's graphics in this are just insane.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, but even on the Series S, it looks that was the thing. I was like, because I played a little bit of 4, the 4 remake on Series S, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Like really, really good. And it's at 60. I'm like, I don't know how they squeeze this out of the machine, but this is good. So I played 4 on the obviously Series X and S, jumping between, and I didn't mind that because I was like, well, this just looks really good. So it's a really good example for, people who say the Series S can't do some things, because it really can. You just need to optimize and squeeze a bit. It probably takes a little bit more time or expertise. And obviously, I understand we won't get into that conversation about some studios have the expertise and some don't. However, this game is like the perfect, like you said, the perfect marriage of 7 and 2 or 7 and 4, and with the action, the roundhouse kicks, Leon with the axe, and you can just go ham on zombies. And then you get sort of switch back to Grace, and it's really sort of scary because you're not as tough, and you've got limited resources. You do have limited resources if you tend to fire when you're a little bit more scared. You're like, it's coming at me, and I'm like, I'm out, missed. God damn it, missed again. Because the zombie's head is always doing this. You're like, I think I have got it.
You got to go for headshots because you don't have enough bullets, but yet they're coming at you so fast and they're wobbling that you're like, yeah. It's a whole
Stay
thing.
still.
Right.
But yeah, it's fantastic balance. I think I've probably maybe put in about, I'd say I'm not sure. I'd have to look, but I would say anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. I think I played it for a good chunk a couple of times, so it might have not been an hour, but I've been playing it in 1 hour to 2 hour chunks. And I've done one of Leon's, and I've done a big chunk of Grace's. So Grace's first bit, then Leon, and I'm almost at the end, I think, of Grace's second bit. It's really creepy, really well done, and I sort of agree with people because it's really fan servicey, So it's really. It's hitting all the notes if you've played Resident Evil even from the original 1 and 2, but if you've played from the remake of 2, 3, 4, it sort of hits all those 7, 8. It hits all those perfect notes. So I don't think it's a good spot to jump in. I know Grey Monad, good friend, was playing through all the Resident Evils before this launch. So I think the best thing to do, right? Start on 2, go to 3, go to 4. Play your 7, play your 8, and then jump in.
Yeah, skip 5 and 6. You don't need to play those for this. I would say the minimum you need to do is 2, 4, 7 to get to 9.
Yeah.
Get to 9.
I think 8 too, because it does have a little lead in to sort of Leon, a little lead in, and then you get the girl in the room. She links to 7 and 8 as well. So. Yeah, and the thing is with 8 that I didn't like, and 7 is they made it go first person. I know Colt's like, why don't you like first person?
Yeah, he doesn't like Resident Evil. Yeah. No, he doesn't like it. It's just not his thing, right? Sorry, putting words in your mouth.
I like in 8 how they added the third person, but when they added the third person, the animations weren't. It was like we built the game for first person, and you could tell. It's good, but you can tell. Whereas this game, they've built the game for first and third, and you sort of can't tell. It's sort of hard to put your finger on what it is with 8 when they added the third person, like Avatar. If you go back and play Avatar now, it's not built for third person, and you can tell, but it's still good,
Well, what I really like about it is that they at the very beginning they tell you Grace is meant to be played first person. But you have the option, if you want to play it third, you can toggle that on at any time or right now. And Leon is meant to be played in third. However, if you want to play first, whereas before in previous Resident Evils, you would have to play through the whole game to unlock third person or first person, vice versa, kind of thing. So they do give you that option from the beginning. And I think it is really perfect to have Grace as first person, because that's the more, you have to be cautious. You have to be more sneaky. There's all of that more immersion with the sort of helplessness that she has. Whereas Leon, Leon's like John Wick, in this world, right? Yeah.
What I don't like about playing it in first person, because the sound quality is insanely good. And I got those Arctis earbuds I was talking about, Holly, as well. And they're actually really good. They do occasionally disconnect, which is annoying. But I got them because instead of bringing up, I was bringing up these every time, and I built myself a carry case for the rigs to take up there. They're pretty robust, so they're all right. But it's such a big case to take anywhere. It's like this big. I've got to take it with me. So I'll get the earbuds, played it with. The sound is amazing. Like you can hear if someone's in a room upstairs and on the right. You know that they're where they are, and you can hear them sort of walking across. Absolutely amazing. But the thing is, with first person, that sound still kicks in, where you can. You know how Grace is always doing that.
Yeah, a little terrified. Yeah.
Thing,
it's a little
and
annoying.
yeah, and because when I'm in first person, it's really close, and I'm like, oh. And then when I pull it back to third person, it's not as close, and it's a little less noticeable. I kind of wish I could stop her from doing that as often as because it literally loops. It doesn't stop, and I'm like, oh, come on.
It does.
Like even I'm not scared now. Come on, let's.
And there's no run in this game. It's like there's like slow and a little faster than slow, right? Yeah, there's no run. Yeah, you don't run.
And if you're making those sounds, the thing, like when you run, you would be going full speed, not just a leisurely jog, away from this massive thing that's chasing after you with the butchers, fantastic. I think it's great, but you definitely have to play through at least a couple of the other ones to sort of get I think definitely go 2, 3, 4 minimum, like minimum.
You don't need 3 for this one though.
Yeah, you don't. But 3's so short, you know what I mean? Which is a bit of a problem with it, but because 3 was so good, that was the problem with that. The original 3 was short too, and so I think people forget that the original 3 was short, and it was in town. Because it was in town, people wanted more of it, so I think they sort of had a miss there. But yeah, fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Village is considered RE8 Thatch, 100%. That is RE8.
Yep.
Yeah. And also fantastic. And even in first person, because I played the whole thing in first person, and 7 I played in first person, both fantastic. Fantastic games.
7 is the scariest game I've ever played. Probably the scariest even movie. It doesn't matter. It's like the scariest media.
The jump scares? Oh, I don't know.
The room with the chains hanging down and the guy with the chainsaw. I died so many times, like running from him because I couldn't figure out how to do it, and I was so scared that I was I just kept doing the wrong thing or derping, and it was terrible. It was terrible.
And I loved 8 because it was less scary, but it was really cinematic and sort of beautiful, and then it sectioned off each scary bit. They sort of tanked it with the last area should have been the first area is amazing, second area a little bit more scarier, and then you get to the last area and it's sort of all action, because it just went full steam ahead on action, and it wasn't a very pretty area, I guess, the factory. But anyway, let's move on to the next topic, because absolutely. I got home last night. I played it on the Series X. I'm like, oh my God, it's even more beautiful. Like, what a fantastic game. And when I booted up on the 5090, when this thing over here eventually gets built.
You got to play Cyberpunk first. You can't play this until after you play.
Oh, I can't afford it. I can't afford to buy the PC and Cyberpunk. So I guess I'll have to give it a miss.
It's in Game Pass.
I knew, that was way too long. Way too long.
Wait, you still haven't and won't play Cyberpunk?
He will. That was
because
the bet. I had to play God of War. I contractually filled my obligation on stream, mind you.
Yeah.
So now he says he won't play it unless he could play it on a PC. So.
Yeah. And I'm going to put a mod on that gives me everything from the beginning, so I can just race through it. That's the plan.
The can is real dented by now with all the kicking that it's gotten.
Yeah. Other things are really dented as well.
I don't want to play. I don't want to. I will, but I also have that. That thing that I have. If a developer just absolutely lies through their teeth, on their launch, and then everyone just gave them a pass, and I'm like, you can't give them a pass for that. That was egregious.
They were beat up pretty hard for quite a while, though. I don't really feel like
it was egregious. It was unbelievably egregious, terrible. Let's jump on to the next topic. Before I do, please hit the like button, share us out. We go live every second Saturday. at 8:30ish p.m. We're not boom. We don't go live at the exact time that we say that we're going to, but we do eventually, and that's the main thing. So obviously the big news of the week is Xbox has basically confirmed what I think we've all been saying for a very long time, and I think Colt was called a liar many times because of it, is that basically Xbox has split the hypervisor, and you will be able to play PC games. It'll emulate. I'll jump to Colt on this because Colt's probably really good with explaining how this works. But basically, you'll be able to play all of your Steam library, your Epic library, well, I don't know exactly what other stores will be available, but from the sounds of things, you'll be able to boot up Windows right on the console in your living room, and do all the things that a PC can do. And to do this with any amount of graphical fidelity and frames per second, it takes a little bit of extra. I did ask some questions from the man J-Ron a couple of years ago when we first heard. Well, it was a year ago, 2 years ago, a while ago, when we first heard about this, just to ask some questions about how a hypervisor and emulation would work. So I'm leaning towards they've gone that route, but they've made this thing like absolutely powerful, and I don't think it's going to be very cheap. But Colt, how would they manage to do this? Do you think? Because you made a great video about this, so I think it's sort of in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, how would they manage to do the PC and Xbox thing at once, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Xbox is on a kernel Windows, so this time it'll actually be Windows itself, and we're figuring probably Windows 11. People say Windows 12, but it'll probably be like a curated version of what we have in Windows now. You were asking me about the dashboard that's in my video. It's the xbox.com/play, which gives you the cloud interface that you can use on your PC on a browser, but it acts like the dashboard. And so we're just figuring that that's exactly what the full screen experience is going to look like. So yeah, I mean, this thing will have Windows in the background. You can switch to Windows mode. You can do everything a PC can do. Run your video editing, audio editing, do your taxes, check your email or whatever. But other than that, it's a gaming device. It'll play Xbox games, the entire Xbox One and Series Xbox library natively. D-Batch has been causing a big ruckus online, arguing with everybody on Twitter that it's emulated games and it's really just a PC. He's completely wrong. Jason Ronald will talk about this next week at GDC, but the Magnus chip is built on the exact architecture to natively play your games without any license restrictions. So every game you own on Xbox that's currently playable right now will be playable on the new Magnus chip Xbox, the Helix, and you'll have access to a million or a billion games on PC or whatever's available, which is really cool because right now, if you could get the Steam machine, if it actually comes out in 2026, that's another topic of discussion. The Steam machine, our Beast PCs will not have this many games. This console will have all of PC games plus all of Xbox's currently available games. So you're talking like an extra 6,000 games, and some games that you can't buy anymore. You can't buy digital unless you can't buy some games that are available unless you go buy a disc on eBay on DVD-ROM or something. But yeah, I mean, you're talking a full-bodied library with a whole bunch of stuff under the hood that I don't even know if we have time to talk about, but you're talking about like neural rendering and all kinds of stuff, the power of a mid to high level current GPU that's in Beast gaming PCs. It's pretty amazing. And the price is going to be kind of weird, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's a lot.
Wow. So what you're saying is, because I was curious about this, because I was thinking the only way that they would be able to manage this, right, is if they didn't. So what D-Batch is saying. So like, I kind of understand why he's gone that way. So what I was thinking is they're not, or they would emulate the Xbox games, and then anything else that came out or is developed, in recent times would be the PC version. But that's not what's happening?
Nope, not as far as I've been told. No, it's like your native games. It's going to be the Xbox console version of the game, meaning when you load up your game, it's going to have the brightness and contrast and HDR and performance mode or whatever. It's not going to be the PC version of the game. It's not playing anywhere. It's not emulation. The only emulation will be happening with the current backward compatibility. So like Xbox original 360 games will be emulated on the Xbox 360 OS as they always have been. And the rest of the stuff would just be a really regular game. So you can't expect to take Red Dead Redemption 2 on this brand new console next year and get, 120 FPS automatically unless the neural rendering chip starts unlocking the potential, which I covered in my video yesterday. That's what they're saying. This auto NR, or not auto NR, but this back compat NR is what they're calling it, is like a hardware based thing where the chip, because this Magnus chip, it's huge. It's like almost twice the size of the upcoming PS6 chip. It's big, and it's got two graphics engines on it. One is a neural processing one, and the other is they're side by side. So you have this really strong AI powered neural rendering chip that will take old back compat games and bring them up to 4K. Bring the frame rate all the way up, and even like sweeten up and do like predictive lighting for realistic. Like there's some really crazy stuff that we'll eventually get into. And I know a lot of people are like, you said all this stuff was going to happen before with the Xbox Series console. And when I covered that stuff, basically all I said was it was going to outperform the PS5 by 30%, and it didn't, but all those features are still there. You have ray tracing, you have performance modes, and you have high resolution and stuff. All that stuff has come true. So pick your poison, I guess.
Well, that's the thing. It could have and it should have. So in regard to like why that's not happening, there's actually plenty of reasons I think you could point to, developing for specific consoles first, all that sort of stuff.
That's another thing that Jason Ronald is supposedly going headlong against. The Xbox Series consoles got underperformed by the PS5 on some games, not most games. I think most are still go to the Series X. But the reason why that was happening is because their documentation and porting process is so arduous that developers just said, F it, just give them the PS5 version, just set that resolution target and that performance target and let the raw hardware do the rest. And what you basically get is both games run at 1800p. They both run at 57 to 61 frames or whatever. And the big delta wasn't there. But Jason Ronald's team is supposed to be working on a porting process that is so seamless. When you make a PC version of the game or a Steam version, the only thing you have left over is to do certification and achievement support. And then there you are. Your port's done. And there's so many developers who are like Thomas Muller, who's the guy behind Ori and No Rest for the Wicked, said, you make a game and you do a port on another platform, you spend 3 or 4 months with your team making a separate port, and you usually get back all that money. It's easy money when that sells on a different platform. Well, some of these smaller developers are like, we don't want to spend 3 or 4 months making an Xbox version. It's just more work, and we don't know about the return on investment. So it sounds like Jason's team is fixing that problem, so devs can't look at that and go, I don't want to spend that time and money, because that's a horrible problem Xbox has for the past 10 years.
Well, I think that sort of creates an environment for developers where instead of building for PlayStation first, which is, I'm not sure of the split here. I would imagine it, 40-60, 50-50, somewhere around that, either side, PC to PlayStation.
You build for PC first, yeah. But
yeah, it sort of sweetens that deal that they would build, you'll buff that and people will go, well, look, we'll build the PC version and we'll port to PlayStation because we know we're getting this on two ecosystems, and we're, as we pump it out. So, but yeah, the emulation was the only way that I would think how it works. So I do understand why D-Bitch is saying that, but then also in speaking to
the way you said his name,
the Bumblebee,
oh.
yeah,
this is little misspoke, yeah.
This is the Comrade Bear. This is the Bumble Bear. These are all from Fallout 76. Sorry.
No
Game
way.
Seeker was asking. Game Seeker was asking. And this is
how
the
did
new
where how
Bear.
how do they sell them on?
And, yeah. And this is Mothman. They're all keychains.
Oh my gosh, those are awesome.
I know, they're so cool. Sorry.
Mothman looks so awesome.
He's so cute.
Sorry,
He's adorable.
the thing keeps going behind me. Yeah, Mothman's so cool.
Yeah. Sorry.
Just to
I got
get back on
asked. I
track.
had to show.
I just think it's funny that everyone's just like, oh, it's just a PC. And I'm like, oh, so that's wonderful that you think that's an insult. It's just a PC. Oh, no, it's just only the greatest gaming platform with the most flexibility, zero paywall for online, access to millions and millions of games. Like, oh, it's just a PC. I was just laughing at that going on the past couple days. And so I said at the beginning of my show today, I was like, I don't care what you call it. Just make sure you say it's a PC and a console, because that's what it is. But if you want to make it an insult and say it's just a PC, I guess I would just say, and thank you. Sounds awesome. Because I'll tell you this, Riskit. Are you listening, bro?
Oh yeah, I'm listening.
If next week PlayStation announced that their PS6 was going to support PC games, what would happen?
Oh, they would love it. They would love it.
They'd be like, Maya, he, Maya, who. They'd be like, oh,
100%.
yeah. Yeah.
Just like they're going to love Starfield. Just like they're going to love every game
I hope they like
on.
Starfield. I hope they like Starfield.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Are you telling me that the next Xbox, I thought the whole point was that it's going to play just like a console, but you're actually getting like the PC license, even though it plays just like the console. And of course you would still get a console edition in your library because you might be playing on an old machine or something like that, where you would still need a console license. But I thought the whole point of Play Anywhere was to allow for a very long period of people on existing consoles having console editions purchased. And then the new console would technically, you would be buying the Windows-based PC version to move forward with.
Yes.
And eventually, right, console will just phase out into oblivion at some point way down the line. So you're saying it's a console and a PC, but you're not really necessarily talking about the license that's being purchased if you buy an Xbox game that's Play Anywhere. Because you're buying a Windows or a PC license to the game on the new hardware.
Yeah, eventually Xbox would want to only have one version of the game,
right?
You know?
Right.
Which
it's
means
costing them money too, right? For third party.
Yeah, and what they need to do is they need to say, developers, when you make an Xbox version, just give us the PC version. Because in modern era, and even just a few years ago, most games, and you guys know this, when you install a game on PC, most of the time it's like, hey, I've already looked at your hardware, I've set all your settings, you're good to go. Like it's pretty rare on brand new games from big enough developers. So they just need to say, give us the PC version, and then it will look at the hardware. Are you on Series S or X? And then just pare it down. And I've even said that Microsoft needs to let developers just give everyone on Xbox the PC version. And you know what? This will tick people off, but let's say you're a year into the next generation, you're still on a Series X, and you buy Resident Evil 10, and you load it up, and you're like, what is all this? And you go into settings, and instead of 6 settings, there's 25. And I would say, stop crying and just set it and forget it. Like, what are you going to do? If these developers who've been skipping Xbox, this might be alleviating that problem. But Xbox Series S and X will be supported by developers and Xbox and the platform for many years into this new generation. So they have to figure out a way to give you access to maybe the Helix version of the game is like the full PC thing. Because I just can't imagine you having these restricted games all the time on the new console.
Well, yeah, I can't see them. Well, I can't see them dropping the Series X and S to just make a PC version. But obviously, I think down the road, you're talking 3 to 4, maybe 5 years, they start to sort of move into that. We're just making their PC version, and that is the Xbox version type thing. Just to add to the last thing you were saying with D-Bitch, is I did actually, that's the only way I could imagine to do it. So I did ask him the question about how that would work. And I remember him saying that it just is not possible to emulate a Series X game, even on a 5090, and get like a full experience. He's like, you would see chugging of frame rates. You would see, Holly, because you're bringing a whole new hypervisor to sit on top of what you already have, like Windows, albeit whatever it is, and then you're bringing in the game. So like you're using up a lot of GPU, a lot of CPU to just emulate a game. With 360, it's possible. We're way in the future. But yeah, he said even on the most powerful, I think 4090s were, I think the 5090 hadn't been released, but I think 4090s were released at that time. And he's like, you
the 360 emulation doesn't take any extra power. It utilizes whatever it would use if you were on a 360, but you have way more overhead than that. So the 360 emulation it's just in the background. It lets you play the game. Nothing's unlocked. Like he was saying that it would cause performance problems if you're emulating games.
Yeah, if you were emulating Series X games on, because my question was about sort of the new console and China.
He told me today, he's like, Colt, respectfully, this isn't your tech expertise field, walk along. I'm like, seriously? The PlayStation uses hardware-based emulation for their back compat. So when the PlayStation plays an older game, it is limited to the frequency clocks that are set to the old console. So if they have to power down for the PS4 games to play on the PS5, and then they have a feature built into the system where they can where they have that boost system, whatever it's called. I can't remember. It's not called boost because FPS boost is Xbox. They have this like boost feature that you can do in the settings menu of your PS5, but they are limited on their back compat on PS4 because the CPU in the PS5 has a way higher clock rate and it doesn't jive with the architecture of the game. Like, how could he not know that? I don't know everything about how that works, but I've learned enough to know there's a difference between hardware and software emulation. The 360 uses software emulation. The software emulates the Xbox 360 dash. If you hit both the back and the start button at the same time, or as Holly calls them, the hamburger and the whatever the other one is.
Yeah,
when you hit
what they're called.
I always call them back and start because that's what they were called forever on everything else.
It's
but anyway,
like the left menu, the right menu.
Yeah. So if you hit these two buttons at the same time, you guys know this when you're playing a 360 game, it pops up the 360 menu on top of the Xbox menu. So there's the key point is that if you buy this new console next year, your old library that exists pre-next generation are going to run natively on the chip, just like when you bought a Series X. I loaded up Mafia 3 on my Series X when I bought it.
Well, this is what he said because I think I'm okay to read this out. There was no information because I was
if you wrote
more
it in
asking
public,
about.
You're okay to read it out.
Oh, it wasn't in public, but it's only about how a system would work. So it wasn't about. It's nothing to do with the new console coming. There's no spoilers or information or anything like that. He said VMs require performance overheads. That means to run a VM, a virtual machine that sits in there, which is what the 360 is. To run a VM, you need more performance than if it was running natively on the hardware. So you theoretically we're talking about the Xbox One and One X and stuff as well. They theoretically take the Xbox One OS and run it on a VM on newer, more powerful hardware, but you couldn't take the Series X and run it backwards the other way. I'm like, absolutely, I knew that already. He said you could, but performance would be good. So the Xbox OS already runs with 3 OSs. We knew this, and it hosts the host OS and 2 VMs, a game OS, system OS, and obviously the game OS as well. He said you could package all 3 up into its own VM, but now you have VMs running within VMs, and each layer of abstraction requires different additional performance to offset overhead of virtualization. This is effectively how the 360 and the OG back compatibility works. The emulator runs inside of an Xbox 360 emulator, which then runs on the one and the Series X's. We have enough performance available for that in the system to absorb the overhead, and the title has no idea it's running in a VM. It believes it's still in a 360, right? Which is basically, there's a lot more he wrote, but it's basically what he's saying. And then in questions, because there's other stuff that he said, but in questions around about whether you could do that with a Series X game at its, how they run now, is that he basically, what he was saying was the Series X games are at a level where you couldn't take it and put it on I think it was a 4090 and emulate on that 4090, because you would lose too much of the performance. You would lose too much of the integrity of the game. So it wouldn't be worth doing it that way. And he knows what I'm doing. I was poking for information, trying to figure out how they were going to do this whole PC thing. So it's not basically what I got without him saying, that it's not emulation. I sort of felt like, well, it's not, and you're not emulating the Xbox game, and you couldn't do it the other way with the PC game. So they must be doing something else, right? So, I mean, when D-Bitch says that it's emulation, it can't be. Like, it cannot be. Just because the performance isn't there in anything that exists right now to do that. So he must have come up with something else, which is why it was good to watch your video and sort of get an understanding of, how they're going to manage this, which is basically using AI through the chip, right? That's sort of what I'm feeling like when you talk about neural net. Sounds like
I mean, they'll use AI to see if you could sweeten up an older game. And like I said, I don't know how that works, or if I just said I would hope they'd have a toggle on and off for that, kind of like FPS boost. Like if you want to play an older game and it starts draping over some, frame by frame graphics that look nicer, and you're like, ooh, this looks jank, or like if it gives you like AI crap look or slop look, you could turn it off. But it's something that's going to improve over time.
So what do we think they're going for power wise? Because I sort of feel like this is their big swing, right? They've sort of opened it up. They're going to need that extra power and overhead to run. I think, however they're using this chip, they're going to be running, Xbox games on, this sort of PC, I guess, and then they're going to be running PC games on this as well. So they're going to need to have a pretty powerful GPU and a CPU with that sort of extra boot. So I don't know. I sort of feel like we're sitting 4090 level. Maybe it's not a 4090 traditional. I think it's going to be like some sort of your Magnus chip and your API is going to work together to do the extra work, the extra leg work, so that you sort of have that level of fidelity. You have the option to maybe ray trace. I sort of expect ray tracing at 60 FPS. I think with this or any game that they are launching.
Well, we're talking path tracing is finally going to be on the next generation console. Moore's Law is dead. People decide when and where they believe him, but he's got an AMD guy giving him actual hardware testing, so he's got very specific numbers when it comes to the card. It's an RDNA 5 card. It's AMD, so comparing it to NVIDIA is kind of pointless, but he did say it's like 50, 70, 50, 80 levels of GPU power when you talk about the PS6 and the Xbox, but his numbers show the Xbox is markedly more powerful than the PS6. So you're talking high rasterization, path tracing, ray tracing at high resolution and frame rate, because games have barely gone anywhere since then. But a bunch of RAM, like you're talking like 2 to 3 times more power than the Series X and PS5 Pro, and with a CPU that's really powerful too. So I don't really see much of a bottleneck when I look at it. So I break down the specs. I show them on screen in my video because Moore's Law's got this like funky like list, and so I kind of broke them down into something that looks a little nicer because he's a great reporter, but I like to do graphic design stuff. So yeah, I mean, it just looks like a very expensive device. And really, I was also talking to a tech guy that was like, a lot of the stuff in there is not what makes it expensive. He's like, when you're talking about more cores and in the silicon, like that's stuff that sells for a lot more money, but the stuff that makes it expensive would be, it's probably got a 2 terabyte SSD in it instead of a 1 terabyte. When you're looking at 2027, they're probably going to move up to double the the available starting storage for it. And then the RAM is 48 gigabytes of GDDR7 RAM, which is a 2-generational leap from the from the PS5 and Xbox Series X. So the RAM's super pricey. And what's in the Series X? It's like 16 gigabytes or 30. I can't remember what it is. I think it's 16. I can't remember. I don't know. I don't do those videos anymore about Series X, but yeah, it's a pretty big leap in RAM, and that's what's going to cost a lot of money is the SSD, and then the RAM and some of the parts of that SoC will make the console pretty expensive. But I have a $3,000 PC that I game on and do production on, and it, I've upgraded it, and Hargeet sent me a GPU that was really pricey. This Magnus chipset kind of rivals my production PC I've been using for 3 years. So I'm looking at it in a really interesting way. Like, I could just make this my full gaming device. I can do, and then I could just only use my PC and just load it up with production stuff instead of having it loaded with games. So,
I mean,
there's a lot to cover there.
I won't be able to do that, unfortunately, because I have purchased a water-cooled 5090. That's probably the most amazing.
Yeah, you and Gaz are one and the same, Riskit. One and the same.
Oh, definitely not. I'm not a tourist. I probably am a tourist. I'll actually take that. I am a PC tourist, and I'm probably still going to be an Xbox guy. And I'm going to buy this, but I guess my next question, Holly, is... I mean, you saw the joke in the chat when I saw this. I'm like, oh, does anyone want to buy a 5090? Because I'm like, do I need this thing anymore? Like this massive PC that I haven't even built yet. Everything's still in the boxes over there. Do I need it? Why would I need a PC if this Xbox, I think, I agree, like 50, 70, 49, like around that sort of thing. If it's that powerful and it can sit next to my TV, that does 120 FPS, VR, all that stuff. Why do you need the PC? Are you gonna buy it, Holly? Because what's yours? Yours is a 3080 Super, right? 4080 Super.
I have no. I have a 4080 flat,
Super. Okay. So what do you feeling like about this?
I mean, I'm gonna get it because it's the next gen console, right? Like I'm just gonna do that because just the way I have my life set up on my TV, I've got my Series X, which I use for, of course, all the many Xbox games I've had for forever, right? And Game Pass, right? I use it mostly for a Game Pass machine as well. And then I watch TV through it. It is my TV, right? Like I do everything. I do it all through there. But then when I want to play PC games, I have a PC that I play on, right? So it's not the perfect setup, but it works okay for me. Now to Colt's point, I know exactly what he means. If I could just sit down and access literally all of my games and one machine and not have to, okay, let me leave the party. I'll be right back. I've got to go switch over and go do the thing. And then hopefully the party connects, right? Like there's that whole side of things on PC. But like, you can't just say, oh yeah, I want to go get on the Division. I've been playing this for a while, but that's on my Xbox and I'm playing Arc Raiders on my PC. I'll be back, right? There's this whole thing, right? And then I have a different headset for the PC versus a different headset for the Xbox, right? Like these are definitely first world problems. Yeah. Like, so I don't complain, but it's a whole thing, right? I have a different controller for a different machine, right? Because
I do, yep.
So it's
switch HDMI's, yep,
exactly. So if this could do a lot of that, and probably it sounds, you're saying it'd be like roughly the equivalent of a 5070. I mean, that would be pretty incredible, right? And like probably a 5070 is probably close on par with a 4080, 4090. Is that true?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So about the same as what I've got now.
Yeah, there's not much difference between that. Yeah, when you start running games, you set your targets and it's all in the wash, I think. Yeah.
So it would be different if you were like well, it's the equivalent of a 3080 or, like something like that, where you're like, well, but my PC is still better. But if they're on par, well, that makes it a tough sell. Now, the difference is like for people like the three of us, right? Like, you still need a good gaming PC to do your recording, to do a lot of the stuff for video production and stuff like that, right? So it's a different animal. You still need something decent, right, to do all of that stuff on the side. I don't think you're going to be trying to do all of that still on this same machine. You'll probably do some, right, but not the bulk of it. So I don't feel bad about having my PC, not at all, right? But it does make a world in the future where there's one headset and all of my games and one controller. Very exciting thought, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I guess personally, I've been doing everything on a Mac this entire time. The show's run on a Mac, everything's done on a Mac, and it's a MacBook.
Well, that's your problem.
And
that was your mistake.
And I used to love the MacBook, but for work, since about 2022, I hadn't really used a lot of PC until then, and for work, I've been using. But I'm like, I go to work, I use all my PC at work, and then I come home and I'm like, this is not as easy as PC. So I'm sort of, I think it's time to get rid of the Mac, and I'll definitely keep the 5090. I mean, the thing will be able to render at like a ridiculous speed. So even if I spend more time in my living room with my $2,000, $3,000 Xbox, I feel like the $15,000 PC is probably going to be worth it. At the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Maybe didn't need to spend $15,000, but that's what tourists do, right? We go to the country, we spend way more than we need to.
1,000?
15,000, yeah.
In America, that's like $500, right?
Okay.
No. No. We are not Thailand.
I'm kidding.
I think in if you transfer dollary dues to US, it's like probably 10? around about 8 to 10, yeah. About 8 to 10. It's pretty huge.
It's no joke.
It's pretty huge. No, definitely not. No. It means what it says, and it says what it means. 5090. I can't wait to get this thing set up. I'm pretty excited. I got my case on the way. But I guess the next thing to sort of talk about is earlier in the week before this was announced. Before I do, guys, thanks for sticking with us. Please hit the like button. Share us out. We go live every second Saturday now at 8:30-ish p.m. Is that PlayStation made a really interesting move earlier in the week. I was like, wow. You don't see companies backpedaling with strategies unless they're Xbox. Backpedaling with strategies. Mo, don't yell at me. Usually they'll be very careful about the strategy they choose, and then they'll follow that through. And before I do go on, I do have to read, unfortunately, and I don't want to, but I will read Lotus Esprit's $10 super chat. That blue number can do no wrong. And I wrote, if you scroll down a little bit, I wrote, yes, you can. Thank you, Lotus Esprit. You're amazing.
She can. She's in a show with you and I. She's already done plenty wrong.
Yeah, right there.
Thank you, Lotus.
That makes us never wrong.
PlayStation decided to go back on exclusives. So they're no longer publishing on, this is the rumor. So this came through Bloomberg earlier in the week, is that they're pulling back their exclusive strategy and they're keeping their multi-plats. I guess games like Arrowhead's Helldivers, absolutely amazing game, fantastic, one of Holly's favorites. And Marathon, one of my favorites of all time. That game looks terrible. Anyway, we won't talk about that. Terrible. Like, what happened to Bungie? Oh my God, how the mighty have fallen.
Hey, some people are liking it. Gaz likes it.
People do.
He says it's doing all right.
Yeah. I mean, that tells you all you need to know.
It wasn't.
Oh, did you see? Sorry. Can we just divest for just half a second? Did you see that Bungie didn't demand but politely requested that reviewers not put their review out until the end of March?
What? Isn't the game available
Wow.
to buy right now?
It came out March 5th.
Oh, you are kidding.
End of March, you said?
Mm-hmm.
DOA. And I'm not celebrating either.
I'm assuming it's just because they want to give it a chance to work out a few of the initial like balancing or bugs or whatever, but they didn't demand it. They politely requested.
That is one. No one's doing that. No one is going to be like, oh yeah, sure. I'll wait for everyone. Someone's going to be first. One person's going to be first, and then everyone else is going to rush to get their review out.
Well, they shouldn't do that just because that would be
dishonest.
It would be different than what they would do for anybody else, right? So just to be fair and equitable, that just wouldn't be something I would say is a good thing.
Agreed. 100%. It sets a bad precedence as well. But that is one, crazy, and two, I don't like, even if Marathon was good, which I don't believe it is based on what I've seen. I think some people said it's all right, but it's not Bungie level, Halo level, CE launch, their next big thing. And as well, if you ever played Marathon, which I did, was originally on the Mac, shout out to Mac. It was sort of more of a techie, I guess, like a bit darker in tone, sort of like a Doom. It was sort of like a Doom, sort of like a Wolfenstein 3D. A little bit better graphics came a little bit after, and it was more of a sort of techno steely sort of looking game. It was not what we got, so I don't think it pays tribute to it. And they probably should have stuck with that. But even if it were good, it's a tough market to release a game like that right now. And I'm not celebrating that it's DOA, but I've been saying that game is DOA from almost day one. As soon as I saw the graphical style, I was like, I do not think this is going to do well. I don't think there's much of a market out there for that. I don't think that's hitting the Gen Z vibes, the millennial vibes, the Gen X vibes. I think they missed like absolutely every vibe it could. So I don't know who they're making that game for, but I am doing my taxes. No, I write questions down when people are talking, when something pops into my head, so I don't interrupt people. Red Wolf and Colin Moriarty does the same thing, but I am a much better human being. No, he's all right. I actually don't mind Colin. A little bit arrogant, but I got the idea for him. So thank you, Colin. I appreciate your tutelage. What was I saying? Yeah, I think it's a poor market. It's not hitting any vibes. It misses on so many levels, and it's really sad to see. And I did say, I think I said on Special Nick's show, and I don't want to call it what it used to be called. But now it's called something else. Day one. Sorry, I didn't want to call it the old era thing. Day one, I said like 6 months. I see, at the very least, I see PlayStation, stripping out that studio heavily, layoffs in 6 months. And PlayStation does not mess around. If a game misses, they pretty quickly shut that down. So we've seen this before. So I don't.
Like they said, they want to fail early and fail cheap, or something.
Yeah. So I don't think they're going to try to breathe life into this thing. I think this might be it for Bungie, which is my concern. So it's why I'm not celebrating, because I don't think they've got much of a chance of continuing to exist. Holly, you think that?
So I was just looking to see if I could see the concurrent players.
That's like 3 people.
They hit 88,000 on launch day, which is
bad.
peak.
Not bad.
Yeah, it looks like right now, and this is obviously this is Steam only, right? They're averaging around 70,000 right now. It's a Friday night. I assume over the weekend, right, is naturally a little bit higher. That's not bad. They're 64th in daily active users.
How many are there right now, you said?
70,000.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, for a game that just came out, it probably could be a little bit better.
You think there's more people playing it on PlayStation since it's a PlayStation first party game? It's a console centric shooter.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe, but it is
maybe it's
$40
doing even better on PlayStation.
So
yeah.
It could be. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to shut it down in the next 3 months or anything like that. I think it'll die out slowly. I'd give it a year.
Well, I mean,
Maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. You know, like if they're really at their wits' end, they could pull a Hail Mary and just do a ton of updates and do a ton of new content, right? And like do a lot of balancing. And it sounded like one of the complaints was that it was kind of slow moving or slow paced for some people. So maybe there's some balancing with that. I think there are ways to salvage. I don't know that there's a way to turn it into what Arc Raiders has, right? I don't think that is a thing that's going to happen. But I do think there is a way for them to sort of just keep the train rolling for a while. If they can do it. And if Sony lets them.
Cole, what do you think? Look, 70,000 is not bad.
I said the
terrible.
marathon's probably going to last a year. It should be fine. It's good enough, I guess. It's funny because you started this conversation to talk about PlayStation's like PC poll, and then you started talking about marathon. Like that's originally kind of what you're getting at, but I don't know. I agree with you. I think Bungie they're probably gritting their teeth right now because it's such a competitive market. There are like 5 or 6 live service games that everyone plays, and they're like, why should I stop playing League of Legends or Dota or Counter-Strike or Overwatch or World of Warcraft or whatever these games that they always play are Arc Raiders. Why should I stop playing those to try out this game when I look at it and I'm like, it looks okay, but I play this every night with my friends. And that's where the live service is. That's why it's so volatile, because people aren't willing to drop their game that their friends, they hang out together every night in those games or Fortnite. Yeah. So they're all different styles of games, but I mean,
as
Holly?
Yeah.
No, I was gonna give a 88,000 for Marathon on its launch day, and Arc Raiders had over 700,000.
Wait.
Scale.
88,000 for launch day on Marathon, and how much for Arc?
Over 700,000.
Yeah,
across all
Steam.
platforms. That's all platforms. Sorry. Steam was 463,000.
Right.
About
yeah.
6 times. Right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And the peak players right now in Arc Raiders is 180,000, with a 24-hour peak of 200,000. So, look, I don't think it's a huge loss.
I don't wish them well. I don't wish them harm either. I want them to do well.
Yeah. Well, I'm concerned. I'm more concerned about Bungie than the game, if that makes sense. Do you get another shot at it? You know what I mean? Or do they ask you to go back and do some sort of remake on? I don't know. And if they do decide to shut the studio, does Bungie just make that escape move that they've made so many times before and come knocking on Xbox's door? Does that happen?
Yeah.
There's sort of a lot of things that could sort of go from here, but interesting one to watch. But I guess the topic we were going to jump into before we got sidetracked was I feel this is what I feel. So it was really interesting, the timing. So almost, I think it was 2 days after PlayStation, or even a day after PlayStation had announced that they were pulling their single player exclusives for PC. You see Asha. I don't know how we say her name yet. I'm working. Asha. Oh, because I'm Australian, I can say Asha. Asha.
Yep, you can.
Sega. Asha. So she came out and announced, obviously, what we were talking about recently is that you're going to be able to play your PC games. I feel like PlayStation was ahead of the announcement. I feel like they decided to make that move, make that decision, and pull back on their single player games for PC. Not partly because it's 1.5% of their revenue. I understand that, but 1.5% of PlayStation's revenue is still a lot of money. That's 1.5% of your revenue that easily pays for the port to PC and makes you profit, right? So I don't see them going, looking at that 1.5% as the deciding factor of pulling out of their single player games on PC. I think that they got ahead of it. They knew what was coming, and they went, you know what? We don't want people to be. Why do I suck, Mo? And he's yelling at me again. I don't see any other reason why they would do that. It's no skin off their teeth to make that. The only reason is because if you make it for PC, it now ends up on Xbox and Steam Box. Is it Steam Box? Steam console? Steam
Machine.
Steam Machine. That thing. Yeah. So don't say hey to him. He said I sucked. So Colt, why do you think PlayStation's pulling out of
I said it's because of Xbox, and that really ticked off the Hooven Brigade.
It is.
But it's because of Steam Machine and Xbox's upcoming console, and it's because they want to sell more consoles by not giving people a reason to wait and play it somewhere else. They have the same problem Xbox does. They don't know what the data looks like if they sell their bangers on PC day and date. If Wolverine was set to come to PC and PlayStation 5, PlayStation 5 would sell a crap ton of consoles, and PC would sell a crap ton of copies of Wolverine, and Wolverine would sell crap ton on PlayStation. So it would be a win-win for them, but they don't have that data, and they're going to decide let's let the meter keep going up for console sales, and let's pull out because even if only 1 million people on the entire planet say, you know what, I'll just wait for PlayStation's games on PC and I'll just buy a Magnus or a Steam machine, or I'll build my own PC. PlayStation doesn't want that to happen. And if you think that PlayStation is not directly, if you think that Xbox is not a direct competitor to PlayStation, look at how they do their exclusivity deals. They buy games that are available on PC, come to Steam or come to Switch, and completely skip the Xbox console. They take games from like Square Enix or Final Fantasy. They take franchises that have been on all platforms and say, do whatever you want, just don't put it on Xbox. And if you think that they don't think of Xbox as a direct competitor, then I'll say, as somebody said the other day, you're out to lunch.
Oh, yeah.
Because somebody said the other day, I've been very encouraging of PlayStation putting their games on PC and Switch. And I'm like, wait. You've been very encouraging them, putting them on PC and Switch? What about, why haven't you been very encouraging about PlayStation putting their games on Xbox? That's because even the fans, diehard fans of PlayStation, know that's a direct competition. Don't put them on Xbox. That's PlayStation's direct competitor. That's why. That was a long answer. And I'm going to take a nap.
I would expand on that, though, because now that, and I've been saying this, since we found out about the whole hypervisor being split, and if they do this, which they are doing, they push PlayStation into a corner where it has to make a decision, right? As the options were laid out, I laid them out as that it's very hard to do. And Colt, you said that they wouldn't do that, and 100% you're right, is that they could get into a licensing deal with Steam somehow where they could block it off, and that's very, very difficult to do, and I doubt Gabe would ever have done that. That's probably not the least of the options. Or they pull out of PC. I think a lot of people were like, oh, they're not going to do that because there's too much money in there, but I think that they're 100% threatened for the exact reasons that we're talking about. But PlayStation is now not just competing with Xbox. PlayStation is now competing with an Xbox that's a PC. So now it's up against two major competitors. Like Xbox is obviously trailing in console sales, but Xbox and PC combined is not trailing PlayStation. That's the bigger competitor out of the two. And a lot of people, you would hear Alex say, things like there's no exclusives on PC. There is. No Rest for the Wicked. That's exclusive to PC. And it's not because Gabe buys exclusivity. It's just sometimes developers only decide to develop for the PC, and you can only get those games there. And sometimes they'll eventually come to console, and sometimes they won't. It's not because it's an exclusivity deal, but there is exclusives on PC too. And we still have a couple left on Xbox. Holly, I just want to go to you on this, and then I have another question that I'm curious about for everyone. Holly, do you think that obviously PS has done this because you'll be able to play their games on Xbox or for other reasons.
Well, I have a hot take. I mean, it's from Schreier, so it's very credible, right? But I just have an extremely hard time like believing that they're just going to not port any of their games to PC anymore. Single player, right? They said multiplayer were going to go everywhere because they need the player count. But I just have an extremely hard time believing that they're just done with PC for their first party games. I don't know, man. I feel like there is a lot of money in PC, and to a point that you just said is that they're going to be under more crunch because of not only Xbox, but the Steam machine, right? And there's more things going to under your TV top. And we also know that, the gaming market has shrunk a bit. And we also know that younger kids aren't necessarily playing those single player experiences, right, as much because they grew up in a world with all multiplayer and follow their friends around and all that stuff, right? I would be shocked to just not see any Sony games going to PC anymore. But I don't know anything. I'm just looking at the numbers and looking at the logic behind it. And I just feel like there's going to come a point where it's not going to be financially viable for them to just ignore PC altogether. Now, if you say no day and date, then I could say, okay, well, yeah, maybe. And even then, I think, 5-10 years down the road, that might even be a different story, because I think the pinch is coming, not just from who, you would consider their competitor, but from the market, from the AI crunch, from all of these other things, right, that are happening. Plus the fact that, one of Jeff Grubb had talked about when Xbox decided to go not, multi-plat. Like, one of the things that he was talking about was how the Epic Apple case, the Epic Google case, all of these other marketplaces that had very siloed and integrated payment systems that blocked other ways of purchases and closed market ecosystems, how all of these things were sort of happening to break down those walls and force people like a Nintendo or like a Sony to open up their marketplace. Now, I think Nintendo is definitely on a realm of its own, and we're not even going to bring Nintendo into this, right? But I think Sony is a little closer aligned. And so I don't know. Xbox, I think we're all in agreement, right, isn't into trying to be the market leader in sales for consoles. That's not their game. It's not what it's not what they're doing, right? They're looking to make money off of games and obviously not take a bath on their hardware, right? Make some profit on those too. But if they're able to sell it anywhere, and then they're able to peel off a few people to come to the Xbox ecosystem versus buying a Steam machine, A, it's going to be more powerful, right? And then B, the other thing is it's the same thing as when you talk about people buying handhelds. I always get confused because, and just genuine confusion when people talk about buying a handheld. I actually, Lotus, one day I was talking to Lotus about this, and because Lotus was looking at all these different handhelds and really diving deep into them and trying to make a decision. And they'd said that they thought they were going to get the Steam Deck. And I said, okay, fine. Great. I'm sure I hear good things. It's a great machine. But my question for you is, just as when I'm looking at buying something, if I have some stuff over here and I have some stuff over here, I don't want to have a machine that only does this and only does this. I want one thing that's going to do all of those things. I don't want to have the Logitech xCloud and then also have the Steam Deck and then also have the Portal, right? I want one thing that does all of those things. So for me, when I was looking at a handheld, I didn't want to buy the Steam Deck solely because it's locked to Steam. And I know, of course, right, you can go around it and do all the like stuff.
Yeah, if you want.
But for somebody who doesn't want to do that, right, it's locked to Steam. It is a closed ecosystem. So all the Epic games, the free games that they give away every week, right, that I know some of you go out and just claim and put in your library. And like, I was buying tons of games on Epic because they had 20% cash back. Or like the Xbox games, all those Xbox games that I own, right? Like all of those things I wanted in one location. So I would never buy the Steam Deck. And so when I'm looking at the Steam machine and the Xbox machine, and if they both play PC games, but I can access Epic and my console games and itch.io or GOG or whatever it is, right? Through that machine, I'm going to buy that instead of the Steam machine, independent on even if they were on par with each other, right? Technically. So that just goes to like where people like, I don't know. I feel like that's logical, right? That people would want to just have one thing and follow through is like, it's all about simplicity. And so the more you make yourself exclusive and tie yourself over here in this corner and aren't playing with all of the other big boys who are playing together, I do feel like you are starting to corner yourself even further in the divide. And sure, you've got a huge market share. And for now, it's probably not a big deal. But as time goes on and you have your market shifting, right, and just engagement, user age, types of games, all of that stuff, the way they interact with games, all of that, just feel like it's eventually going to catch up with you. Now, for Sony, it's probably not going to catch up with them for a while if they don't pivot before that point. But to revert back on a policy that's already like 5 years outdated just seems like a stretch to me. I don't know. That's just my thought. It's a very long thought. Sorry. But
yeah, I mean,
that's where I'm at.
I guess what you're saying is you want to be you are Sauron. And you want one device.
I want one ring to rule them all. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Is what I took away from that. Look, yeah, that's pretty fair. I think that's what Xbox is trying to do, a unified ecosystem. Whether this is the sort of my next question. That's what they were trying to do. But what are they going to try to do in the future? Like, what's the plan going ahead? Now, this is what I think they should do. And Holly, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. So I honestly think, based on this move, I think that that's, and Holly just left. She's like, I'm out. I know she's still there. She can hear us. I think, Colt, this is what I think they should do. And I think this would be a winning strategy. And I don't think you would have to do this for very long before you squeeze them either back to PC or out of the market. And we heard this from Matt Booty. So I think that Xbox should pull back from PlayStation and publishing all of their games. I think you've still got to have publishing deals with them. You don't want to completely destroy that relationship. But I think you should pull back on your
relationship.
Or on your, well, I mean, they obviously they have a relationship, right? They're publishing on their platform. They should pull back from PlayStation. Pull back with especially the first party studios. Your Gears is your Halos is all that stuff. Pull back from those, at the very least, and maybe even Bethesda. Pull back from that, and then I think with Matt Booty in the seat of power, I think that they should go back after third party deals. And start squeezing PlayStation with its own game. PlayStation continued to play the same game, and they won the generation, let's be honest, so far. They continued to play the same game. They kept making exclusives, not very many, and a lot of remakes, but they kept making exclusives, and they got third-party deals and forced a perception of Xbox that developers don't want to develop there, and Xbox doesn't have all the games. They created that perception. That wasn't Xbox creating that perception. That was them. They purposely did that. I think you can flip that script. I sort of a little bit agree with Alex was sort of talking about the dude bro. I think get a little bit risque. Get risky with your marketing. Have a bit of fun with the community. Have a laugh. Maybe delve back a little bit into the console world. Poke some fun. right? Be the Xbox of the 2000s in the way that you pitch yourself, the perception. To spin that perception, bring some exclusivity back. Obviously, have some stuff going over there because you don't want to cut into your market too much. And then at the same time, make third-party deals to squeeze PlayStation a bit. And I think what the result will be, or should be, that PlayStation will either have to come back to PC to make that extra revenue, or it'll decrease console sales, and it just gives Xbox that they need the perception of being competitive. And I think that gives them the perception of being competitive. It's not just about the exclusives. It's not just about any one thing. I think you need to make changes on a bunch of fronts to bring Xbox back into the zeitgeist to compete. What do you think?
I don't think PlayStation needs to go back and put their games on PC at all. If they decide that they'd rather sell consoles, if they decide they would rather have people buy their console instead of playing it elsewhere at the cost of their franchises having fewer people play, then they're going to do that. And I mean, why would they go the other way? So Xbox doesn't have the same position that PlayStation has. And if Xbox was going to use exclusivity to drive people to their platform, and I've said they should do this all along. There's some people that got mad when I said Xbox has exclusives, but I'll say this again. Xbox's exclusives were available to just about everybody except for PlayStation only fans, because Xbox had their games day and date on the cloud, on multiple devices. They're on PC Game Pass, they're on console Game Pass, and they're on the Xbox console. Their games have always been on PC. So any device that runs a PC game or can play it is, Xbox's games were there. So if you couldn't play Starfield at launch, I was like, you have many choices. You don't get the same choice with Wolverine on PlayStation. You must buy a PS5. So if you're like, I don't really like their games, but I love Marvel or I love Wolverine, then you're buying an $800 game. So my other issue, which that one sounds kind of slighted against PlayStation, I buy their games on the PS5. I've played a whole 6 or 7 games on my PS5 since I got it day one.
Same.
Xbox's problem is their games aren't good enough. They don't have a single game outside of maybe Forza Horizon 5 or 6 where people are like, I have to go to Xbox to play it. Now that they're putting games on PlayStation, you can maybe think, Fable's probably one of those games. I don't know. I think some people are a little bit iffy about Fable. I'm excited to play it. Can't wait. I'll play it tomorrow if I could. But Xbox would have to have the balls to take Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 5 and Marvel Blade and Gears E-Day, and they've got some other games in the pipeline, and they're not good enough to take that backflip. They need to take something like Elder Scrolls 6 and say, you want to play Elder Scrolls 6? You come to our ecosystem. We're everywhere. We're on Samsung, LG, TCL TVs. We're on Fire Stick. We're on PC. We're on Game Pass. My TV's listening to me. Stop, TV. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they're available everywhere. So I think if Xbox had the balls, they could say, oh my gosh, I can't even get back to the show. There we go. Yeah.
I heard it that time.
It's still listening to me. LG, stop listening. That's never really popped up for me. Anyway, they need to be bold like that. But unfortunately, this upcoming slate of games, Halo, Gears, Forza, and Fable, they've already told them they're going to be on PlayStation. So let's go through with that next year. Are they going to be bold enough to say, let's not put these on the? Holy smokes, TV.
I think
I don't know.
I think they should. I think they should roll it back. I think 100% I agree with you. I think that they're more likely to go, hey, we've already made this commitment. But we've seen developers and publishers make commitments to Xbox before, And because PlayStation swooped in with, look at Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade was originally, when it was called something else, was advertised. I know Holly was upset that it didn't come to Xbox, but it was originally slated for the Xbox, had the Xbox logo at the bottom of it, the whole bit. So, and then, PlayStation made that deal. So PlayStation has never been shy about making these kind of deals.
I mean, that was kind of different. That's the opposite direction. It was an agnostic game that was being developed, and then PlayStation said, let's help you fund the rest of your development, and then you can be exclusive to us. Yeah.
But it does hurt Xbox. They've never been worried about hurting the perception of Xbox. And I don't think Xbox should be worried about hurting the perception of PlayStation. And what I think they should be worried about is their perception, their own perception.
Well,
and it'd be huge if they said, look, sorry, Fable's not going to be on PlayStation. Sorry, Gears is not going to be on PlayStation. Sorry, Halo's not going to be on PlayStation. If you want those games, you have to go either to our ecosystem, buy a console, get a Fire Stick, buy a PC, play those games. That's where.
Yeah, and I agree with you, because Xbox. I was like, well, you don't want Xbox and Microsoft to be the villain and start yanking stuff away from people or locking off stuff. And one of my friends was like, they're already the villain. Everyone already hates them. What difference does it make if they grab something? Like, this funny thing is, he goes, they need to go buy Take-Two and then make Grand Theft Auto 6 exclusive to Xbox. I'm like, oh my gosh, they would be the biggest. I mean, it's not going to happen, but they would be the biggest demons in the entire world. Can you imagine the games media and everyone on the planet would eat them alive? You evil corporation. I have to go buy a crappy Xbox just so I can play Grand Theft Auto. But we'll just make that joke, like buying Grand Theft Auto is exclusive. How about Xbox does something in the vein of that, but not that big? Like, go grab something like PlayStation tried to get Crimson Desert. And thankfully, Pearl Abyss said, we want that game to be as big as possible. We don't want to take a bag from you, and then the game isn't a worldwide phenomenon. We want everyone playing our game. We want it to blow up on Steam charts. And, knowing PlayStation, that game would just be not on Xbox, because that's what they do. So anyway,
go find. That's what I'm saying. Go find games like that. Even 3 or 4 games that are a bit smaller that look like they're going to be big hits. Or Mo, settle down. PC's fantastic. Or go find a massive, a bigger game, right? And have a hit there, and take it from PlayStation. They need to start taking the food out of PlayStation's mouth, right? Because they're just letting PlayStation be gluttonous and eat everything.
Oh, Matt Booty's still there. What did he say?
And spend them out of business. That's what he said. He said, we have the resources to spend them out of business. And he's number 2 in the chair now. Does he still hold that opinion? I think he does. I think Phil's really nice, and Phil wanted to sort of play nice. Love Phil. Phil's fantastic.
Agree.
I think Phil wanted to play nice in the industry, and he had a vision for the industry and a culture vision for the entire industry that he wanted to see achieved. And I just don't think that everyone shared that vision. I think if everyone shared that vision, then absolutely that could have been possible. But I don't think everyone shares that vision. Whereas I like Matt Booty's vision.
It's like communism.
It's like we're gonna spend them out of business. Like, we're gonna compete. That's what I want to see. I think everyone wants to see them do. Who here? I mean, Holly, we haven't asked you. Holly, would you? So my question to Cole was, should Xbox pull back from PS? Keep some of their, pull back Gears, pull back Fable, pull back Halo. And then start looking at third-party games that they can get that are exclusive to Xbox and PC, because that's now their ecosystem, right? You make a deal with whoever it is and says you can publish on PC and you can publish on Xbox, but you just can't publish on. You can publish on Epic Store, you can publish on Steam, you can publish on anywhere else, but you just can't publish on PlayStation. And we're going to help fund your development for PC and Xbox. I think they should definitely do that.
I don't think so. Only because, well, there's several reasons, but I just feel like if they were going to really play hardball, this was the generation, and they had the opportunity to play hardball this generation. When Game Pass really started cooking in 23.
Yeah, is her mic not reconnected?
No, it's working. It's working.
Oh, okay. I can't hear all of a sudden.
You can't hear me?
It's not even I can hear you, Holly. I can hear you. And it's not EV Mux, Holly. Don't start. Don't start with it. Don't start with EV Mux. It is EV Mux.
DV Mux. DV Mux. Should we wait for Colt?
No, I think yeah, kick on. Kick on. I think he could probably hear.
Okay. So this was the generation they had the opportunity to play hardball, because for a million years it was Xbox has no games, Xbox has no games, blah blah blah. You got me now?
Yep,
Yeah, he's got you.
Okay. So they went through that cycle. They were building and building and building while it was Xbox has no games, right? And of course, we all know, and Phil's absolutely right, like the Xbox One was the generation to win, and they didn't do that. But the writing of the ship was this gen, when they had built this entire ecosystem, bought all these properties, fought to get Activision, had all of these things lined up to make the Xbox platform unstoppable if they had exclusives, and they used Game Pass, and they used their exclusive model, even just for their own games that didn't go in money hat everything else, right? They had the making of something there. And unfortunately, they decided at that point in time that they didn't want to wait another 2 or 3 years to really see how that was going to play out, right? And to be honest, they probably would have had to have outwaited like this generation to really build 2 or 3 years or 4 years, right? Of being like, yeah, we had these 7 games last year. We had these 8 games this year. We had this, you know what I mean? Like just a constant list of just massive games, not only in their own personal portfolio, but games they were able to get day one in Game Pass, right? Like Expedition 33 and all of the other ones that they had day and date in Game Pass, and you could play it free over here, right? And they had all of these things that were locked behind. If they had never hinted at the fact that anything from Bethesda was going to be anywhere except Xbox, right? And even doubled down on Elder Scrolls and all of those things. If they had just flat out said that from the beginning, even if they changed their mind before Elder Scrolls comes out, but if they had committed to that at that point, then they had this gen to wait it out and to build the reputation, to build the game portfolio, to build the legacy of, if you like the Elder Scrolls, then, you know, come on over, the water's fine. And I think if they had done all of that, then there was a chance that they would have been in a better position for the next console. But they didn't do that. That time has passed. So to me, from this point on, they can't play Sony's game. They need to play their own game. And I'm not saying it doesn't involve exclusivity. I don't know. But they have to create their own unique way to do what they need to do to make the best money, to make the best games, to make their players feel top notch, right? And you hope that it resonates. And maybe it is a combination of those things, but I think that the generation for exclusivity and money hatting through Game Pass, that was this gen, and that's gone. That's just my opinion.
I think they still have the resources, Holly. So like you're sort of saying, it's the time is. I don't think the time has passed at all. I think you can sort of build it up slowly and start doing these third-party deals, and then also I think you can. You know, you've still got ABK, you've still got Bethesda, you've still got Coalition, you've still got Obsidian, you've still got all of these IPs that are coming down the pipe. You know what I mean? Go to Expedition 30, the Expedition 33 studio, and say, listen, I'm going to give you 300 mil because their game reportedly costs much less than that. I'm going to give you 300 mil, as much time as you need. You know, no more than 4 or 5 years. I'm going to give you 4 or 5 years. We want you to do your next game exclusively for Xbox. We won't put it in Game Pass. It will sell, but exclusively for PC and Xbox. You know, I think they need to start doing that. So I don't think that time has passed. I think that would be like everyone in the industry would be like, whoa, Xbox has just come back. God damn it.
In my opinion, it takes a whole generation to get player counts to start to swing back in your, at least in if you're talking about installation base, right? I feel like it takes a whole generation to really start to swing any momentum back to your favor, right? And like, am I wrong about that? Is that not a fairly accurate statement? What do you? I
Well,
mean,
you've got
what
a
do you
whole.
think?
That's the thing. You've got a whole new generation to swing it back. Do you know what I mean? Like you're starting a new generation. So
But
start
you have
fresh.
to spend that much. You're just talking about one game. You've got to do that every year for multiple games and just
Yeah.
really make yourself so big, like too big to fail kind of idea, right? But like,
That's what she said.
at what monetary value is Satya going to finally say, hold on a minute? You know what I mean? Like, and how long is he really going to give you before? And it's not even Satya, it's the people in the chat that own the stock at Microsoft, right?
No, I mean one to two games a year. I don't think is a massive investment. You're already investing millions and millions and millions and millions.
1 to 2
and millions,
games
possibly
isn't going
billions.
to make people go to Xbox, though.
No. But 1 or 2 games that if you get them right with third parties, and then you have all of your first parties, you pull it back and you do that at the start of generation. Say, this is the strategy we're going to stick with. We know that we've pivoted too many times. We heard you. Don't say we heard you. Say something else. We heard you. And this is the strategy that we're going with now. And this is what we're going to stick with. Be transparent, be clear, and tell the people what you are going to do and execute on that, no matter what. And
What
I
do you think, Colt?
What about how long it'll take him to shift strategies?
Yeah, just the whole thing, right? Like his opinion about going and money adding a game for 4 or 5 years, couple games a year, and all of that, and what that would actually do for them.
It's going to take them a year to actually start making any changes, but Xbox had a good thing going for 2 or 3 years at the beginning of the generation. People are actually okay with Xbox for a bit, and then 2022 hit, and they didn't have any games, and then 23 they cowered down and put their tail between their legs with the ABK trial. So yeah, I mean, you can turn things around in just 2 or 3 years. I just think they need to have, I don't think they can put the genie back in the bottle when it comes to games on PlayStation. They're just going to have to make PlayStation gamers wait for those games. Like, sell them on there. Like, if Fable's good enough, like, give it to PlayStation 5 a year or 18 months later. And I was saying this on my show today. It's like, tell the studios internally, like, hey, you guys are going to make a PlayStation version of your games or a Switch version at least 12 months. No earlier than 12 months after the release of your game. But
True.
That will also be depending on what the release schedule looks like when 12 months rolls around. If you get into like the next October and like Xbox has other releases or PlayStation has something big, it's like, just move that to later until it makes sense, but no sooner than 12 months. And then what will happen is PlayStation guys will like say, do I want to wait 12 or 18 months for the next Xbox game on my PS5, or will I play it on the PC that I said I built in 2016 when Quantum Break went to PC? Yeah. I don't know. There's a whole lot of discussion. I got to go, guys, but there is so much to talk about, and we'll end up talking about it a lot more. I'm going to end up doing the XC podcast on Monday as well, so there'll be news breaking from GDC. So like, this is like all starting to unravel, but it's good to see people are interested in Xbox. Like, they're not down and out for sure. They're bigger than ever right now. So as a fan, they'll probably choose some stuff up when it comes to Game Pass. They might ruin some things that I like or that we love. Maybe they'll change exclusivity a little bit, maybe not, but there's definitely going to be something different because what Phil and Sarah were doing wasn't working. And Asha is there to come in and fix things. And so there's going to be some pain points, but in the end, it sounds like Satya has given her a pretty nice green light. There's the rumor about the blank check thing that we didn't talk about, but Tom Warren said that's not really what he said. So I'm assuming somebody asked Satya, hey, we work at Xbox. Are we going to be okay? Are our jobs okay? And he probably said something like, hey, I told Asha, let's do it. Let's put this for, let's go forward with Xbox and let's make it happen, And then somebody said the blank check thing. So I am more cautiously optimistic than I am reasonably pessimistic at this time. Change will happen. I'm a consumer and a gaming fan first, so I'll worry about the worst when it happens because it's not much we can do about it. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah. 100%, 100%. Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about the future, and we do definitely need to wrap. Colt needs to get out of here. So, Colt, thank you for coming through. Really appreciate you jumping in, man. And for you guys in the chat, if you missed Donte, he'll be back next week. He's just got some stuff going on he needs to deal with this week. If you want to find Colt's channel, which you probably all already know where to find him, but his links will be down in the description. I guess let people know what you're up to, what's planned, what's coming forward, what's exciting.
Yeah, just keep an eye out for the podcast on Monday night, and then probably around Thursday morning, maybe I'll have a report on GDC stuff from home. I'll be checking everything out, and then I'm heading to Phoenix a week from now to the Gamer Expo, and I'm going to meet the 4XP guys. They do the energy drink that sponsors our podcast, and going to kind of hang out and hopefully meet some people. Like maybe hopefully get to shake hands with Angry Video Game Nerd. He'll be there, so I'm excited. So
nice, awesome. So look, we'll let you get out of here because I know you got to go. You did a three-hour podcast, so thanks for coming through, Colt.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you.
And Holly, I think if there's anything you want to sort of add to the discussion about this, about where we go, the black chat. Look, I will say this: I think Asha is gonna have the freedom at the beginning to run how she wants to run. And I think that doesn't last forever. So I think the decisions that she makes in the first year are going to be crucial, and the second year is going to be crucial to see how they pan out. But I think that Satya will give her leeway because she's fresh to the industry, and it's a new thing for her. So she's going to need a little bit of time to get her head around things, listen to gamers, listen to developers, listen to the people who work around her, listen to Matt Booty, spend them out of business. And I think, I agree with Cole. I think the future's positive. It's very positive. I mean, for me, it can't not be positive. We've got a 5090 sitting just right over there. It's going to be amazing. Holly, positive outlook for Xbox? Or
yeah, I'm
concerns?
cautiously I mean, obviously, who knows what we'll be saying a year from now, right? But I'm cautiously optimistic for her. I just want to say, like, I am really sad to see Phil go because I really liked Phil. I respected Phil a lot, and I think he did the absolute best that he could with he started off with a job that with the Xbox was in a rough position then. And he really did a good job like righting the ship, right? Like we were talking about the launch of this gen, and then the ABK thing came along, and I think that it was a power move for them. And I do think if you don't like what happened at the end of his tenure, I would just say, A, none of us are in the room for those conversations and the decisions that need to be made, and B, we've all heard it from a few people, and I completely believe it, that we're lucky that Phil was there at a few certain times, because there wouldn't be an Xbox console that we would even be talking about right now if that were the case. So if it weren't the case that he was there. So just a lot of love to Phil. He's just a really nice, good dude, and like
he really is,
I think he did the best that he could by all of us, and we should be grateful for that. So beyond that, I am cautiously optimistic for her. I think that she's done a lot of right moves to begin with. I think it's a strong powerhouse to come out of the shadows from literally nowhere to come up and, just be thrown to the wolves, and then having that really good PR team handle her. I think it's a PR team handling her Twitter account over the weekend, right? Just flying off. And I'm sure she did some on her own too, but like flying off responses to people and being very positive. And it sounds like she has tried to make an effort to really, like, she says she's not a gamer, but she's made an effort to at least learn, right, some of the interests and why some of the things work, and try to game herself. So at least she has a little bit of an understanding from that perspective. You don't need to be a full gamer to have one of these jobs, but it is nice to know that somebody in that job at least has a perspective from the product consumer side, right? And then the other thing is, I mean, it was a very well-timed, bold move to bring her in a week before GDC and then have her be the one who's able to announce the next console, the Project Helix name, the logo, all of that stuff. It's a good, strong move for a new leader in that position. And next week with J-Ron being out there and showing it off, and I'm sure she'll be there too. It's good. I think she's done a lot of the right good stuff right in the first week. And shout out to Jez too for getting that first interview. I think that was great, and he deserves a lot of credit for that. That's all I have to say.
I do look. I will say, and again, it's tough, but I think it was a little bit softball. But I don't think you can do the interview in any other way. So like the criticisms, you know, she's new in the role, you know, asking her about critical failures and you know, you're more going to be focusing on what she's going to do in the future. I think there was some questions there that he could have directly asked, like flat out, just asked the exclusivity question and pushed it a little bit more. But
It's not the only interview, right? Like it's not a softball interview, but it is an introductory. Let's build a relationship and let's just introduce you more to, right, the people that we're going to be paying attention to you more so than tell us your business strategy right now, day one, right? Like there has to be a little grace period, I think.
Oh, 100%. And she doesn't really know. She doesn't know her strategy yet either, to be honest. And she doesn't know why they've done things and why they've had critical failures and stuff like that. So with Phil, I 100% agree. I think he's hit some stuff absolutely out of the park and got some home runs. A lot of them. One of them was like they didn't have enough studios to make games. Games weren't the focus for Xbox in the Xbox One, and he got left an absolute mess. So he also, you know, had the conversation with Satya that he could bring it back. He did bring it back. There was a lot of things that I think were critical failures that he made mistakes on. I think that any CEO does that. And to the point of Asha not being a gamer, Peter Moore was probably one of the best CEOs you've seen at Xbox, and he was a shoe man. So he sold shoes. So at least Asha's got some tech background there behind her, and it's good that she's, you know, a good leader, listens to everyone, and then can separate the wheat from the chaff, as we say. And then execute a strategy and then convince her people that is the correct strategy. And usually if it is the correct strategy, you can convince your people of that, which I feel like, you know, with a lot of these critical misses that we've seen this generation from Xbox, I don't think they struggled to, especially with the 4 games, they struggled to bring their people along. And that's a critical indication of if you can't bring your people along and then they start leaking things out as a group, and then you've probably got a bit of a problem with your strategy and you need to relook at it. That's my opinion, though. That's just an opinion. And we had, honestly, a fantastic show. It's been a fantastic week. I've got a lot of faith in Xbox going forward, especially now that they've announced. I knew that they would. I knew how far along in development they were with the console. And yeah, I am cautiously optimistic, and I want to see some of her next moves, some of her like decisions. She hasn't made any decisions. She's said a lot, and I think someone in the chat said that she said it best. And I'll just scroll up to find that person. I think it was proof over. It was proof over something. It's a good, perfect thing. I think that she said it, and if I could find it. I can't find it. Proof over promises. There we go. So if she can execute on the with proof, then yeah, cautiously optimistic. We'll see how it goes. It's been a fantastic show. Everyone in the chat, you guys have also been amazing. We will be back bi-weekly now, just because I've got myself into a situation where I'm away for a week and back for a week. Thank you, Cage, the cunning linguist. We always appreciate new subs. But be careful, Cage, because I am sometimes very critical of Xbox. So just if you wanted a fair and even take, you will get it here. So yeah, thank you to the chat. Thank you to Colt and Holly. Thank you again for turning up every week as you do it. I especially know that the last couple of weeks have maybe been a bit tougher for you. So thank you for turning up this week. And shout out to Donte. I know that he's got a lot of stuff to deal with at the moment. So I'm looking forward to him coming back next week. And Holly, do you want to let the people know where they can find you, what you're up to, what's exciting coming up? Are you going to be playing God of War Ragnarok? Let's make a new deal. Let people know.
Well, it's first, you got to see that Happy Bomb said, we'll miss you and your beard every other week, Riskit.
Hang on, wait. Before you go, I completely forgot, and I am super, super sorry. Lotus Esprit, my bad. Really, really sorry. I do rarely forget these, but I will say Lotus Esprit MX with a $10 super chat said, what she said is why I chose the ROG Ally. I can do it all and now sell the Portal and the xCloud. I can play Forza Horizon 6 day one for $16 subscription. It's ridiculous. Yeah, look, absolutely. If you just want to pick up a console and have access to everything, I think the ROG Ally X is the one to go with, or the Xbox X or whichever. So yeah, I think a good choice. In fairness, sorry, Holly.
No, it's good. So I'm back, people. I think I am going to stream Dispatch starting tomorrow. I think I want to play that game. I hear nothing but great things about it, and it looks pretty cool. So I think I'm going to start that tomorrow. So if you're around, you want to sub to my channel, then you can come and watch me play Dispatch. And in 2 weeks, Crimson Desert comes out, and I have been toying with the idea of whether I'm going to play that on stream or just on my own. It's a big game, and there's stuff I will probably talk about next week because I think it comes out 2 weeks from today. So anyway, so I'm toying with that. So if I'm not sure if I'm going to do it, so in the meantime, we'll play a shorter game like Dispatch. And that's pretty much it. So thank you all for being here. Thanks for engaging in the chat and talking to each other and having the debate and the conversations. It's good to see it. We like to see it, like to watch what's going on in the chat. So
yeah,
thanks.
and what people, I know some people are against the whole PC side. Some people love it. At the end of the day, I think there's a lot of negative, but gaming is the best it has ever been. And I think it will continue to go from strength to strength. I think we were teetering on a collapse for a while, and I was concerned. I think we probably come out the other end, especially going through that 2023, 2024, 2022 even. We just saw massive layoffs in the industry. I'm like, what is happening? Well, I think we've sort of come out the other end. I think developers are being smarter, publishers are being smarter, and it's the best for consumers it's ever been. And there's so many options. So yeah, dive in, have a great time. By the way, public service announcement, Crimson Desert, 76 bosses, 29 mounts, different mounts. You're talking dragons, mechs, all that sort of stuff. 401 creatures, cats, and you can cuddle them. I wouldn't cuddle a cat. No, dogs are for me. And 94 collectibles. It is a huge, huge game. Interesting. I recommend everyone goes and watches SkillUp's review. There's some interesting game mechanics.
There's not reviews out yet. They're just previews, right?
A preview, yeah.
Fighting Cowboy did one too.
Yeah.
His is good. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so go check out Fighting Cowboy and SkillUps because I think there is some concerns and some really unnecessary added jank to that game. But I think it's going to be one of those games that ends up with a great reception and a cult following. So I have a feeling.
The TLDR on Fighting Cowboys video, just for everybody, if you don't want to go watch a 25-minute video, it seems like people are intrigued by this game, but it seems like there's a little trepidation in the way they talk about it, right? And it's probably just because it's a preview, they only get so many hours to play it. But the things that have come out of it, at least from the Fighting Cowboys perspective, and I really like Fighting Cowboys reviews, are very good. The two big things that he came away with is, one, he was like, the people who complain about yellow paint for puzzles He's like, you're going to be begging for yellow paint because the puzzles in this game are very complex and they're very difficult, and there are zero things to guide you through the puzzle. They're very difficult. And he said, I think a lot of people are going to get frustrated and stuck on puzzles. The other one that he came up with, or he had commented on, is he plays on PC, but he's a controller player primarily, but he goes back and forth. And he said that there are so many button combinations in this game and button assignments that it was, he put the controller down and he went back to mouse and keyboard because he couldn't really he wasn't comfortable on the controller. It was because it was so complex. So he went back to mouse and keyboard, and that bothers me a lot because I play on PC, but I am not good at mouse and keyboard. I want my controller. And so when he was talking about like one of the basic combos is to use A and X at the same time. And it was like, well, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but if that's just a basic combo, right? Like the level of complexity of things that build upon that, and the fact that there's not even enough buttons on a controller probably to really handle it effectively or in ways that you'll remember. That's it might be fine, but that does give me a bit of concern more than the puzzles. I mean,
I think I like Skill Up said exactly the same thing. There's like completely no need for some of the combinations for, getting into a puzzle. You need to like hit L button and A, and then take your finger off L button and put your finger back on L button for it to work. It's like, why did we need that extra button press? And then in that puzzle, it wasn't explained that that's what you had to do, and then when he was doing it, because the mechanism of it, like, it might start shining and getting bigger. It was such a small reaction that he didn't know it was happening. So he took his finger off the L button many times and got stuck. So yeah, I think there's a lot of exactly the same stuff that I think Cowboy's saying, I think is what a lot of people were saying. And Skill Up did say he spoke to a lot of creators and they were having the same problem. One of the things with the puzzles is also that the developers were standing over people's shoulders, having to help them. And then Skill Up said at one point, a developer had to call over another developer to help him get through a puzzle because the other developer couldn't figure it out. And it's like, well, that's a problem. You've got a problem.
That's not good. Yeah.
That's not good. So it's like,
I love difficult puzzles, but I need to also be able to solve them and not have to. It's not like Call of Duty Zombies where there's literally no way I would have ever figured this out without going and watching some tutorial on, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want that to be every puzzle I run into, right?
No. Yeah. No, you want to feel like you're smart enough to get some of them, right?
I want to feel smart, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But you want to feel smart, but you don't want them to be so dumb that you don't feel smart. There's a fine line.
Yes.
Yep. And then you want some obvious tells when you're getting it right too. He did say about the combat. That it's a real power fantasy. So like you at no point sort of there's not a whole lot of risk of one NPC getting the better of you, but they throw multiples at you. And there's a whole bunch of different styles and martial arts and fighting styles that you can learn, different weapons and all that sort of stuff. So I like the sound of that. Like I like a good sort of power fantasy combat, like where it's not Elden Ring level difficulty, and you can just sort of get like have fun with the comp. Like Avowed was fine. Sometimes you would die, but like like not super often, and you felt like you were powerful.
There needs to be a balance
and, like,
of easy things to give you some like oomph, and hard ones that you have to. Yep.
Yeah, you get some bosses that'll be like really tough and stuff like that. I like that, and it's absolutely stunning. So it's got a lot going for it, but it's got some pretty, I would say, annoyances from the sounds of it. And everyone's saying, I played for 4 hours or I played for 3 hours and I still wasn't really through the tutorial. You know what I mean? It's like, they're adding systems, you know what I mean? Systems on systems on systems, and a very system heavy game. So
the other thing that Cowboy said, which is probably important if you're still on the fence about this game too, is that like he said, it's very much a game where it's not, there's a quest there's campaign, there's things to do to advance a story if you want them. But it's very much built like a game that you're meant to just go and live in and explore and be in the open world and do, like run into this encounter or that encounter. But it's not like, okay, now I have this next quest and I need to go to this point and do this thing, right? To advance the story. And then you find a few things along the way. It's more just like a living world. You be in it and things happen and you do some of the stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Monad's
you
not
don't.
wrong. That's my concern. Is like I want to play this game, but I'm like, I don't have time for that. Like I need a game. The other thing is the quests. So like he said, he went into the bar where the quest told him to do it. It was just a little update thing on the bottom of the screen. There was no like NPC saying, go to the thing and do this. He said that the voice acting's amazing, the stories, all that stuff's amazing, but there's no sort of quest direction from the NPCs. It's just a little pop-up that he went to the thing but all he had to do was go there. He didn't actually have to meet someone and talk to anyone. So he went inside the bar and he ran around for 20 minutes, like going, what am I supposed to be doing? And then realized that he had to come out of the bar now that he had been to the bar. And there was nothing to sort of give him an audio cue or a visual cue to say, you've done that quest, now onto the next bit. Yeah. So except for that little thing popping up. So again, especially for me, you know what I mean? I'm playing hour to maybe 2 hour blocks at the moment. I've got 2 little ones, I do want to put more work into the podcast. I've been terrible. I know, Holly, I'm terrible. I just got the new intro done. And there's lots of things I need to put my time and attention into, Cyberpunk for one. I don't know if I have time for a game that doesn't quite respect those little time-saving things. I'm not saying go Ubisoft. I'm saying, be reasonable.
Well, it's nice to have 2 options, right? Like have the game set by default like that because that's the way intended. But it would be nice to have a mode that you could just turn on as like dad mode, right? Which is just more like, okay, here's your quest log, right? And then gives you those prompts and those cues and whatever, right?
Yeah. It'd be good to have the option. Like they sort of do not like Ubisoft, but like they're sort of doing Ubisoft. Ubisoft is a bit much. And I always turn it on because I'm like, well, that's easier. I don't have time for this. I don't need to be getting stuck. There's games I'm happy to, like Expedition 33, I'm happy to spend the time in the world. Maybe this is one, maybe it's not. It's a guarantee, Monad, that I am going to buy it because I have a 5090. So, it's the most beautiful game of the generation so far. I think it's got to be played. It's got to be played.
And it is Xbox Play Anywhere. I was looking earlier.
Get out of town. Oh, yeah. Right, cool. I'll buy it day one on Xbox, and then I'll have to push Cyberpunk back. Holly, I'm sorry. It'll have to be pushed back into the annals of my backlog. And no, okay. It's too expensive, my Game Pass subscription lapsed. Can't think of any more excuses right now, but I'll come up with one. Anyway, let's get back to closing out the show. Holly, is there anything else coming up you want to tell the guys or?
Nope, I'm good.
And gals?
Thank you, everyone.
Oh, good. Well, thank you, everyone in the chat. You guys have been absolutely amazing. We'll be back, not next week, but the following week. Thanks for spending time with us, and we will see you all in the next one. Yeah.